What's going on YouTube? Matt from GarageMC here. In today's video, you guys asked for this one. I know you guys have been wanting to see it. It's a very helpful video. It's going to save you a lot of money. I'm going to show you a section of this 400EX budget build plastics. And I'm going to show you guys how to restore them. Stick around. Alright guys, so before we get into this, I'm going to show you some of the products that I have laying around. We might not use all of them, but, you know, different scenarios, different strokes, different folks, all that good sayings, that whatever people say. Before we get into this, just know that this is not a quick, easy job to do, but it's very worth it. I know plastics are getting to be kind of expensive lately. It's like $600 for a set. Or at least the race plastics that I bought for the 465EX build. Those were like $300 for the front, $300 for the rear, and that's not even counting like the tank cover and the hood that I bought. But, you know, not everybody wants to spend $600 on cosmetics. So here is some of the products that I'm going to use. Obviously, you're going to need all different types of wet or dry sandpaper, different grits. I got 320, 500, 600, 1000 grit, 1200, 800, 1200. These are like pads. These are paper. These are like in the middle of pads and paper. These here, they're, you know, it's just a different style. These are cheap, guys. You can get these for like $4 a pack at Harbor Freight. You're going to have to use wet or dry. And if you guys were ever wondering what this means, obviously the higher you go, the less abrasive the sandpaper or whatever you're using is. How you figure what they mean by that is 500 grit. So if you were to take a square inch of this sandpaper, there's 500 grits per square inch. 1,000 grits per square inch of the sandpaper. That's how they come up with those numbers, and that's what they mean. Other things we're going to use. You might be, you know, inquiring on, should I get the plastics cleaner? All this is compound. That's all it is. It's the same thing. So we're not even using this. You are going to need a compound. You're going to need a quick detailer if you want to clean it off in between. I also have this stuff by 3M. It's called Finesse It. I've used this thing in a lot of applications, and it does a lot better than normal stuff. It gets off like swirl marks and stuff like that, and also a decent wax or cleaner polish. This is a polish, but same difference. You want to get an old bottle, fill it up with water and like Dawn dish detergent, because you want to, you know, wet sand, and the soap is for a lubricant. Other things, I have a little Dremel Versa. I mean, you can do it by hand. You do not need to go buy one of these, but I have like 2 or 3 of these guys. They're rechargeable, USB, micro charger. I love this thing. I can't say enough about it. It's just a great little tool to have. The reason I have 2 or 3 is because when one's charging, I'm using another one. So on and so forth. You'll also need a heat gun, or in my case, I'm going to use a torch. But I'll show you guys both methods. And you'll see the difference in what I'm talking about. Like I said, I do not recommend, if this is your first time, to use a torch, because you really can mess your plastics up. If you're like on the borderline of messing shit up. So like, if this was a line where you're safe and past it was messing up, you're like standing right on it. You could mess your shit up quick, but you can come back from it. But stick around. Let's get into this. First step, I'm going to go with a lower grit, like probably I'll start with like a 500, because these plastics aren't too bad, but they're scratched up. And I'll show you guys how we go about it. All right, guys, so in this video, I'm not going to do the whole quad, because what I'm going to do in this little section right here is going to be the same thing I'm going to do over the whole quad anyway. So, you know, instead of you sitting here for 2-3 hours watching me do every square inch of this quad, I'm going to show you a small section. And then I'll just show you the processes, and obviously I'll do the rest of the quad when I have some more time this week off camera. I won't show you the plastics all done until we do the budget build, and the last thing to go back on this quad will be these plastics. Let me get you a couple little angles here. You guys can see all the fine scratches and deep scratches and everything in these plastics. The shine is gone, all that stuff. So pull up a seat. Let's get into this. First thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna start with 320. I mean, you could start with 500 if you want, and then that will get rid of all the small things and it'll show you where to concentrate with 320, but you're gonna have to go back over it anyway. Like I said, this is not a quick thing, but it's well worth it. And for the products I showed you, it's maybe, I mean, you know, some of the stuff you don't even need. You don't need this. You do need a compound and a polish. So, I mean, you could really technically do this for like 30 bucks and some elbow grease. But let me set the camera up, and this is what it looks like now. And I'll get to sanding this out. All right, so like I said, I'm going to start with 320. This is the water, and don't mind the label on there. It was a bottle I used for something else before, but there's just soap and dish detergent and water in here. You want to keep, don't soak it too much, or definitely keep your soap content down to a minimum. Otherwise it will get like slimy and it will be counterproductive because the sandpaper will be gliding on it too smoothly. As a matter of fact, before you do start sanding, make sure you got any loose dirt or debris off of the plastics, because if there's like a chunk of dirt or something, you will roll that around and it will create more scratches for you. So go ahead and get it slightly wet. You can also have a bucket of water to continuously dunk your sandpaper into. Like I said, this is 320. I'm going to do the small section here. Always go in a cross pattern and then across again, or you can go in circles or anything. Just don't keep going in one direction the whole time. I've noticed that with sandpaper, you do tend to get through what you're trying to do a little quicker if you change directions continuously. So let me get this sanded down with the 320, and I'll pick back up with you guys in a second. All right, so this is about after 5 minutes of sanding with 320, going in different directions, obviously. Well, go ahead. It's not, you know, go ahead and stop and check where you guys are at. Wipe it off, get it nice and dry. What you want to see is a nice even finish across it. Now, obviously, you'll see that there are still scratches that stick out. You see where you still need some attention. So I'm going to go ahead now and set back up and run another course of 320 and get the rest of these deeper scratches out. And then I'll pick back up with you guys and show you the difference then. Another few more minutes, and you can see some of those deeper scratches are starting to disappear. Obviously, there's still a couple sections that, if I can get this thing to focus, let's see here. Can't get it to focus. All right, well, I mean, you guys see what I'm talking about here. We still got a couple little nicks here, a little nick on the corner here, and we still have remnants of that one long scratch. And this I really didn't even touch. Like I said, I'm just showing you guys a section of it. One other thing to note is when you have a scratch like this one here, it's good to sand perpendicular to it, because it starts to hit the edges of the scratch and it rounds it off and it gets you down there a little deeper. So let me get the rest of those out, and then we'll pick back up and we'll go to the next grit of sandpaper. Alrighty, we're at a spot where I'm comfortable with where we're at. Yes, there's still a little bit more, but always remember there's going to be other sanding stages that we're going to go to from here. And little stuff like this, you'll see, I said I was going to, use a heat gun. Sometimes I use a torch. I'm just going to show you guys with a heat gun in here, because with a torch, it's very, very easy to mess up your plastics very quickly. I mean, like within a tenth of a second. So I don't want to show you guys how to do it with a torch, because I don't want to be, the reason one of you mess up your plastics or something. So now I'm going to go to 500, and then we'll see where that gets us. All right, guys, so you can see this is after a few minutes with 500 grit. You'll notice in the last scene, it was just with the 320, it was white. It had more of a white haze. Now it's starting to get its red back to it. The higher up in grit you go, the shinier and more back to its original color it's going to look. And I'm probably going to go to 800 now. So I'm going to do an 800, and then I'll show you guys what I do with the heat gun and why it helps with the whole process and what it does. Something to note, guys, this 800 that I'm using, it's not paper, it's a foam pad. This is the product here. It's a 3M. This is 800 grit. They come in different grits too, like 1200. I have all the way up to 5000 on a pad. We're not going to go up to 5000 with this because it's not necessary, but you know, this is what you guys can get. I believe you can get these at Walmart or any like Advanced Auto Parts or AutoZone, something like that. Same principle though, wet or dry, we're going to use it wet. All right, guys, so this is after about maybe 5 to 10 minutes of sanding it with that 800 grit pad, that soft pad right there. This is where I'm going to pull out the heat gun. This is a $20, $18, something like that. You can get them at Home Depot. It's the lower model. I think this is like a 1500 watt or something. I forget what model it is, but let me see here if it says. I don't know. It was like 20 bucks at Home Depot, guys. So you're going to want to go ahead and put that puppy in high. Let it get cooking a little bit. Let it get up to temperature. Now, I'm going to try and get this up close so you guys can see what's going on with this. So you can still see some of the scratches in there. But like, you don't want to hold this in one spot because you will warp your plastics. Just because I said I was going to use this instead of a torch doesn't mean this is something that's not going to mess shit up either. Like, because it will. But you'll notice what this does is it starts to bring the oils in the plastic back up. And you don't have to go crazy. Once you see that shine, get away from it and keep moving. This part I'll show you guys the whole process on. Sanding's not too entertaining. Now what this also does, it kind of swells up the plastic a little bit and it'll fill in some of them little nicks and stuff that are left. Like you can still see some of the sanding marks in there. That's alright. That's alright, you can always go back and sand a little bit more. It's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna hurt. But if you have a good, nice touch with this and a good feel, you can get these little scratch marks and sanding marks to come right out. Now, when this plastic gets hot, it stays hot for quite a little bit. So, I don't think just because you move to another section, it's going to be alright. These things tend to hold heat a little bit. Must be a 400EX thing, I don't know. But, obviously I was just kidding. It goes with any plastics. And, you know, you can get it to this point and then let it cool down and come back over it. But, I hope you guys can see what I'm saying. That the plastic does like start to swell. Let me see if I can get you an angle here. You don't want to hold the heat gun right to the plastics. I mean, you know, give it an inch or two. See if I can get you guys an angle here so you can see this, how the plastic swells. There you go. Starts to fill in those little sand marks. I mean, the camera doesn't really do it justice. If you guys have an old set of plastics or even a piece of an old plastic or something, you could practice with that. But look, see this drying now or coming back down to temperature? You can still see the scratch marks in it from sanding, but it's not done yet. So, all right, let me finish this up off camera and I'll show you guys what stage we're at and where I'm going to go from there. All right, guys, so I just went over a little section here with 800 grit again, wet. you really don't need to use heat on these things. It just speeds the process up. So if you're not confident with that, if you're not comfortable with using heat, go through the grits. Go from 800 to 1,000, 1,000 to 1,200, 12 to 2, 2 to 3, whatever, however high up you want to go in the grit level, you can. But I stopped at 8 right here. I'm going to show you what it looks like just doing compound on this and some polish. All right, guys, so I just have a little 3-inch pad. You can get these off of eBay. Like this black one is for polishing because it's a softer compound. Orange is always for like compounding. You know, using compound. It's like a cutting pad. This black one is softer. You can see the difference. This is a lot stiffer. This is a lot softer. So at first, instead of whipping compound everywhere, all over the seat and everything, I like to get it on there first. Rub it in by hand a little bit. Get it evenly distributed on the part where I'm doing this at. And we'll take our polish pad off of here. Get this like this on this little thing here. Like I said, this is a Dremel Versa. You can also get these at Home Depot. Let me make sure you guys are in a good line. All right. Still gonna whip compound everywhere. Okay. Of course it would. Don't hold these in one spot. You will create a burn mark. Always keep moving. Crisscross pattern. Get your edges real good. I think you guys can already start to see where we're going here. Like I said, this is not a 2-minute job by no means. You guys are going to do this, be prepared to spend quite a few hours. If you're going to do the whole quad in one go, I would probably recommend telling everybody that you live with to stay clear away from you when you're done, because you're really not going to want to talk to anybody, because you're going to be extremely irritated and pissed off. But like I said, it's well worth it. If you do start getting pissed off, take a break, do a fender, take a break, do a section, take a break. You know, it's not like, you know, we're not going to shows or anything, at least not yet. I mean, unless you are. If you are, let me know that in the comments and let me know where it's at, because I'll see you there. Alright, so let's get out our microfiber towel that I have no clue where it's at. Oh, there it is. Now, this is just compound, guys. This ain't the finished product yet. Alright, so there is just compound. You can see, let me get you a better view here. Obviously it's not done, but you can see we got shine on that thing right there. So, alright, let me get out the polish now, and then we'll see where we're at with that. Alright, I got my polishing pad on the Dremel Versa. Polish is dispersed on the area, and let's see what we got here. This is all unedited, guys. Whatever this looks like is whatever it looks like. I didn't stop and do other steps and then pick up to make it look easier than it is. This is not easy, like I said. Same thing. I'll come back to you guys as soon as I get done rubbing this on here. So here it is, guys. Here's all the sections I didn't touch. And obviously right here is where we did. I think it came out pretty good for just a rush job. I did this in like an hour with recording, obviously. But I'll tell you right now, I'd rather have my plastics looking like that than like that any day of the week. So if you guys are liking my if you guys are liking my content so far, always remember to throw me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe, guys. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I'm not gonna, give anything away on what we're doing or nothing, like 465X or anything like that. But like I said, always remember to subscribe. Don't forget, guys, I started up a Patreon. If you guys want to show support for the channel, it's at GarageMC at Patreon. It's all one word, uppercase G, uppercase MC. GarageMC, one word. There's 3 different tier levels to it. If you guys want to show your appreciation, show a little support to the channel, help contribute to some of these builds, I'd appreciate it. Even if you don't, we're doing it anyway, as you see. I'll see you guys in the next video. Gonna start finishing up the rest of the video on tearing apart the bottom end in complete detail. I haven't seen a video where they're showing you what size everything is and how to take it apart in what order and all that stuff. So be sure to be on the lookout for that coming soon. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks for joining me in the garage.